Morning, everybody. Everybody have fun last night? Yes? Good. So, thanks for coming to Rethinking Your Way to Higher Profitability. I think we're all interested in making more money in our business, and most of us, that's a big reason why we're at the conference. So, when we're going to present, I think we each get a little bit nervous about what we're presenting about. Sometimes it comes from our motivators. I think we can tell with Todd, he must have a high aesthetic because he was worried about his nose hairs. I have a high social and a high utilitarian, and I am always worried that I am not going to make a big enough difference for the people in the session. That's what I want, is I want you to get a return on investment for the time that you're here. So as I was preparing for the session, so we did our slide decks a couple months ago, and Wednesday I was flying here, and I'm kind of writing down some of my notes on the plane, preparing. I always like to tie what I'm doing to DISC and motivators, and I'm thinking, okay, higher profitability, how do my DISC and motivators tie to that? And I'm like, well, I'm a high utilitarian, return on investment, so that's good, right? And then I started thinking, but I'm a high social, and that kind of gets in the way because I give stuff away. And by the way, I'm a low D with a high I and high S, so I don't even know how to sell or market. And I go, this is going to be a disaster. Why are people going to even want to be at this session? And then I started really thinking about, well, what could I do to tell them why the session's going to be great? You know, what can I do? What's going to give them the reason to be there? And I said, well, how do we sell? And how do we market? And people ask me that all the time. And I say to them, well, here's our marketing philosophy. When the phone rings, we answer it. We don't do a lot of marketing, and we'll tell you other ways that we actually get clients. I think the other thing is I thought, well, if we're not doing a lot of marketing, people must say, you must have a fabulous website. You must have people that drive your website to you. Well, you go to our website right now, datadome.com. It is probably one of the worst websites on the planet. It is old. It's from the 80s. It is not a great website. So that's definitely not the place that our strategy. And then a lot of people say, well, you must use all of the products, all of the services. And I'm embarrassed to say, and kind of got laughed at the GVP, that about 85% of what we do is sell DISC. We don't even sell a lot of other products. And can you imagine what we would do if we sold everything? We kind of have a stronger niche there. And the other thing is with my high social, I tend to give a lot of things away. How many of you were at my session last year? Yeah, we gave a lot of stuff away, and people were pretty happy about that. So some of the reasons why we wouldn't be successful. But with rethinking your way to higher profitability, what we really are going to look at in this session is how can you leverage your own strengths? How can you take what's great about you and make your business successful? There's a lot of people here that are very successful for very different reasons. Where you're not successful, how can you partner with others? How can you make sure you're pulling in other distributors and other people to make sure you're successful? How can you make sure that your clients are your absolute number one biggest fans? And how can you just make sure that you're more efficient? So those are the things that we're going to talk about in this session. So, oops, it didn't go. So here's what the session isn't about. Not about selling. You can tell from my opening that selling is not the strong suit of my style. But what we are going to talk about today is things that we've done, the evolution that we've had as a company that has had us be successful. And the evolution that we've gone through is really focusing on the purpose, and we're going to give you worksheets to go through this. If we don't have a drive, we don't have something that's driving us to do something different in our business, it's really hard to change your business. It might grow incrementally, but it's not going to skyrocket. The next thing is profits. How do you design your business to be most profitable? And not just in money. I think all of us are trying to balance how much money we make with how much time we have to work and how much time we have for free time. The next thing is looking at performance. What you're going to hear today is when we really jump-started our business, it was because we as owners, a lot of us are owners of our own businesses, we're tinkerers. We think we can do everything, and quite frankly, we can't. But it's not what we do to grow. So it's, can you increase performance by, again, partnering and bringing people in? We're going to look at the partnerships that you have with your clients. And I'm actually going to show you how we have gotten to where we are. And I was surprised to hear that we're the number 4th distributor. And the reason that we got there is we have our clients work for us. And it's really been something that has been really beneficial and has worked really well for us. And then the last thing is how can you standardize your processes to get things together better? So I'm just going to give you a bit of an evolution of our company so you can kind of see where this came from. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I worked for a company in Rochester, New York. I was hired as an administrative assistant. Quite frankly, they told me I was the worst administrative assistant they ever had. Do you think you could facilitate? I went from facilitating to being a partner in the company. I was there for 13 years, learned a lot, had a great time there. I left about 10 years ago to start my own business, Achieve Associates, and that grew. When I left, I was making very good money, and I was very happy with what I was doing. That business grew incrementally for about 5 years. And then I decided I wanted to change my business. I hired a business coach, and she said to me, what do you want to get out of our coaching together? And I said, I want to increase my income by 25%, and I want to work 20% less. And she's like, cool, let's start. And when we started thinking about what could I do different, in order to make more money and work less, the thing that you have to do, in my opinion, or what made us successful, not what you have to do, is really start looking at the recurring revenue model. And how can you get that to work for you so that you can accomplish those things? So as soon as that came in, I have a true belief that when you get clear about what you want to do, the universe just kind of throws things at you. And as soon as I got clear about that, 2 days later, I got a phone call, and it was from Art Schock. How many people in the room know who Art Schock is? He was a great distributor. He was a great friend of mine. He called me, this was 7 years ago now, and said, I'm sick. I'm going to be sick for at least a year, and I can't do any facilitating. He said, I woke out of a sound sleep last night because I thought you are the only person I trust with my business and my clients. Is there anything that you can do to help me? And I loved Art. He was my coach and mentor. I was a little wet behind the ear kid at my first TTI conference, and he just took me in and helped me. And I said, I'll do whatever you want, Art. Anything that you want me to do, I'll help you. And he said, can you facilitate for me? Well, Art's model was the opposite of my model at VitalWork. His was, he sold 75% assessments to do 25% consulting. My model was the opposite. I had 10% assessments with 90% consulting. So for 2 years, I ran his business and learned and understood the recurring revenue model. Unfortunately, after an unbelievably courageous battle with cancer, Art passed away. And his wife and I had become close. She didn't understand the business. And Sandy that works with me, Sandy and I, she said, would you be interested in buying it? Art would want you to have it. And I said, only if Sandy comes with me, because I can't do it without her. Bought the business 4 years ago. And when we bought the business in this year, if we hit the revenue targets that we want, we will have tripled the size of that business that we bought. So there are things that we do to be successful, but they're very different than what some other people do. So what we're going to work on today, I don't know why that's not changing. There's 3 different things we're going to look at. The first thing that we're going to look at is I don't know why that's not happening, is the ideas. We're going to give you lots of different ideas. Now, some of them might work for you and some of them might not. You might look like that crazy kid, like, I wouldn't do that. That's crazy. I wouldn't do that in my business. But some of them I think you're going to see might work for you. The other thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to have you in the 45 minutes actually be doing a plan. We're going to have you go through and kind of write some ideas for your own business and have a plan. And the last thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to be giving away some tools and things that we've designed and that we've used that have helped us to be successful. They'll all be on the website after, just like they were last year, and those are things that we're going to give away. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is defining your purpose. And when we're talking about defining your purpose, we're really talking about goals. What are your goals for your business? I just have such a true belief that if you're really clear about your goals, how much more successful your business is. 23 years ago when I went to apply for a job at the consulting firm, I asked the founder of the firm, I said, what is it that you do here? And he said, we reduce suffering in the workplace. Well, I'm a high social. He had me right there. And I said, what do you mean suffering? And he said, we go into most companies and we find out where they're struggling. I said, where are most of them struggling? He said, they can't produce the results because they don't have the relationships they need in place. So we work on the relationships. We develop people. We work on leadership. We work on team effectiveness. And that's what has everything happen. And I was like, wow, that's what I want to do with my life. I took a 30% cut in pay to go work at that consulting firm because that's what I wanted to do. We had something at the consulting firm called Golf. Goal of lifelong freedom. We're all golfers, so we had this golf thing. And it was everybody picked what they wanted, what was their freedom in their mind. Mine has been the same for 23 years. I want to do what I love with people I love. I want to make a huge difference for my clients, and I want enough money that I feel that I have this freedom. So that was what the golf was. And this is kind of the purpose. Now, what's interesting is I took another EQ a couple months ago. Guess what my lowest EQ was? No, I got a lot of that. Motivation. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I'm motivated. And when I really started reading the depth of EQ, I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't have really crystal clear goals, not just a number. How am I going to get it? What am I going to do? What am I going to target? What's going to motivate me to do that? I really found that it was low, and it really got me to start thinking about what we could do different. So they're going to hand out some sheets to you. Maybe we get a couple people handing them out so it's quicker. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through, and you're going to create what your goal is. Now, the other thing with these worksheets that we're having you do, it's a 45-minute session, so we're not going to get everything done in the 45 minutes, but it's going to give you a start, and then these are things that you can go back to when you get the sheets, okay? Could we get a couple more people help handing out? I'm just getting worried about time. If a couple people could jump up and help. Thank you, thank you. Huh? All right, everybody got a sheet? So I want you to, we're just going to take a couple minutes and have you jot down a couple notes here about, if you create powerful goals, this is really going to drive you to want to change and do something different in your business. So the first one is freedom and contribution. Jot down quickly one thing that you would do that you really want in your business. Do you want to write a book? Do you want to have your income be different? Do you want to take on new, larger clients? What do you want in your business? One thing that you'd like in your personal life. Do you want to take a great vacation? Do you want to get healthier? Do you want more free time? What's something that you would really incent you in your personal life? Next thing is revenue goals. Write down a target for 2018 and maybe make it a little bit of a stretch target. And then when you write that target down, think about how much of that is going to come from service, coaching, facilitating, training, development. How much from service and how much from assessments? And maybe think about if you want to move that assessment number up a little and move the facilitation down a little, because again, that is this way to making more money and having more free time for yourself. And then how much time do you want for play? How much time do you want each day? My goal and what I try to do is take 2 hours every morning. To myself, it's least the time. I get up, I meditate, I listen to a TED Talk, I do my gratitude journal, I do yoga. It makes me really patient for the rest of the day. What's the daily time for you? How about monthly time? Would you like to take 1 day or 2 days off a month just to go do things that you love and enjoy? How about your vacations and holidays? How many weeks off do you want to take? What do you want to do with holidays? Would you like to stop working nights and weekends? Wouldn't that be nice? And then how much time do you want for work? How many weeks do you want to work next year? My goal next year is to work 42 weeks. I would like to take 10 weeks off, almost 20% of my time. That's my goal. How many hours a day do you want to work? I want to work 8 because I'm taking a lot of time off, and I want to work from 8 to 4 because I need to get to the gym at 4 after I saw those pictures of me last night. How about your nights and weekends? And then what I want you to think about is one thing that you might need to do different in your business that you might start doing to accomplish that. We're going to actually get a website that I'm proud of next year. And after I listen to Susie Price's session, I'm going to work on podcasts next year. And what's one thing that you'll stop doing in your business that's going to make you more successful? I'm going to stop doing those half-day sessions where I have to fly halfway across the country and come home. I'm going to have somebody else do those so I can focus on bigger things. So what is it for you? Okay? Everybody good with that one? So we talked about freedom and contribution in your business and your life. I don't know why this isn't advancing. We talked about money, and we talked about what's your revenue goal. We talked about the time. So in order to grow, we definitely need to change. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again. So what is it that we're going to do different? I think we need to work smarter, not harder. And how can you do things that really help you in that area? And also, do you want to live to work I don't like who I am when I'm living to work, and other people don't like being around me when I'm that, or do you want to work to live? So we're going to focus on those things. So the next thing is really about skyrocketing yourself to a higher profitability. Now, instead of going incrementally, we're looking at things being really, really big. The first time I saw this, I was working at the consulting firm when I was an admin, and this is way back in the years when we had code locks. And somebody called and said, could you order us 100 units? And I'm like, sure, don't quite know how to do that, but I'll figure it out and let you know. Ordered the units, faxed them a piece of paper back. They put the units on their little code lock. And then I asked somebody, do we invoice them? And they go, yeah. And they go, how much? And they said, how many units? Yeah, $3,000. And I said, well, wait a minute. That took 5 minutes, and we just made $3,000? And they're like, yeah. And I go, why don't you do more of this? And they go, we're a consulting firm. I go, maybe you should think about being something different. Because you charge $3,000 a day. We just made that in 5 minutes. And the whole idea of recurring revenue I started to see where that would really help clients, especially consulting firms. We sell, and deliver, and then we don't have any time to sell. Deliver, sell, we're up and down, and the recurring actually kind of made that something that was stronger. So with the recurring revenue, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is if you go to your sheet, it's not just the recurring revenue. There's a lot of things that you can do to grow your business. So if you go to page 2 and look at the column that says, what can you do differently to increase profitability? We'll kind of run through these and see if there's some things that you could actually pick that might work for you. So we all know these things. They're just things that we don't think about all the time. Gain new clients. How can you ask for referrals? And ask for a strong referral. Can you set up a lunch for us? Can we do something? Speaking engagements are fabulous. If you can get a speaking engagement in front of decision makers right away, that's something that you can do. If there's any of these that you think would work for you, check them off. Public seminars. When I first started, I did public seminars all the time. It's how I got most of my clients. We'd get everybody together, give a couple-hour session, kind of a lunch and learn so they could understand it. The other thing is we often forget to grow the clients that we have, and that's the easiest way to increase your profitability. New products and services. What are you not using that they could use? Other departments or locations. There's so many companies where you could do multiple things and you're only doing it once. How about adding coaching to what you're doing? Susie Price said that was her best practice last year. She would do a leadership session, then she would offer to do coaching for everybody else in the group, and it immediately increase the revenue she was making. How about hiring assessments? You're already in there using assessments. How many of you are not doing hiring? This was said yesterday. I think that Frank said this. Do more programs and less events. When I really jumped when I was my private business up, what I did is I used to just go do a one-day, and now what I do instead of a one-day is 5-day programs and offer that to them. Tell them the difference and the benefits you're going to get if you do longer programs. You don't have to keep going out and getting new business. One client grows that way, and I think you make a bigger difference for them. So in different areas that you can do those. Conferences. If you can speak at conferences in front of decision makers, and especially conferences where you do profiles, you have all the profile revenue and you have you can charge 3, 4, 5 times as much when you're speaking at large conferences. Here's an easy one. Raise your prices 10%. Raise your prices 10% across the board, and all of a sudden what you see is you're increasing profitability. And then again, sometimes if you have too much, it's hiring delivery contractors. But what I wanted to talk about with the recurring revenue model that we have is why this is so successful. Again, it's a mindset. It's almost counterintuitive that you would want to have your clients actually be delivering programs for you. And that's one of the ways to do it. You can also do this through hiring things. We're looking for engines for that. When I started working for Art and realized that revenue model, I got so jazzed about it. When I go and do a train the trainer or certification class, I love what I do, but I've been doing it in organizations for 23 years. When I go and train 10, 12 people to go back and do this in their companies, there's nothing that makes me happier when I get that phone call. And what they say to me is, oh my gosh, I delivered my first program. They loved it. It was fabulous. This was great. That's the thing that jazzes you. That's the place where you can really grow the business. Right now, our business is 66% assessments and 34% facilitation and things because we've changed to this model. So there's a mindset that we have. I just lost my clicker. Yeah, so the focus is, can we get off stage a little? Because we know as consultants, we can only make as much money as when we're on stage. So can we get off stage a little and actually have our clients work for us? And the way that we do that is through the Train the Trainers. For our company, it's through the Train the Trainers and certifications. What we're doing with Train the Trainers and certifications is we really want to make sure our clients are the experts, not us. I mean, we are the experts, but we want them to be the experts. The way that we do that is we educate them. We have certification classes that they come to. It's a 2-day certification class. They do pre-work for the class. It's a 2-day intensive certification. There's an exam after the class. And there's so much that we do to give them the power to do things. The other thing that we do is we give them all the materials. We give them the slides, the facilitator notes, all the handouts, everything they need in order to be successful. And then we make sure we support them like crazy. We have webinars, we have calls, we get on calls and we help them custom design sessions and talk to them about the group dynamic. So we do everything we can in order to make sure our clients are successful and that we support them. So what I wanted to show you is a model around how that works. So if you go to the top of page 2, I'm actually giving you a lot of utilitarians in the group, we're giving you a quick schematic of how this might possibly work, and then you can pop your own numbers in there later on if you want. So let's just say we do 6 of these a year, we have 10 people in them, we charge $26.95 for them. The other thing too is you don't have to do these. You can send them to TTI, you can upcharge, you don't have to create a whole certification program, but then they're going to be buying profiles from you. But if you choose to do it yourself, just think of this simple math. You have 2 programs a year with 10 people in it. Sometimes you go into a company and do it with a larger company. Sometimes you have people come to you in a public program to do them. If you charge those participants $2,400 each, which is about the market rate, you would make $48,000 in those 2 days, and it's the best marketing you have because now they're buying profiles from you. So if you go into the recurring revenue example, if those 20 people just bought 100 profiles a month, that's just 5 each, and you charge $90 just for the management staff report, and you did that for 12 months, you would make another $108,000 in your business next year. Now, if you were smarter than me and you did DISC and motivators and you did talent insights, you'd make $186,000 more in your business next year. Now, these are just examples. You can put your own numbers in there. And again, it's looking, kind of down that left-hand side. How would you do that? What assessments do you think you could certify people in or have TTI certify people in for you? What programs could you maybe conduct a train the trainer for? I was talking to Randy Zale, and he went to people and he trained them not to facilitate large programs, to debrief profiles in their company with large sales groups. So he doesn't have to do all the debrief, and they're buying a lot of assessments and profiles from him. What HR processes can you tie things to? Is it hiring? Is it onboarding, development plans, performance evaluations, succession planning? I think you need an engine to do recurring revenue. So if you can tie it to something in the company that they do all the time, that's really the place to go. Are there any companies or leaders you could target? Not everybody has huge clients, but do you have a client where there's enough people that they might want you to train at the executive and the mid-management level, but you could train them to train down and all of those profiles that you could get from that training? How would you sell and market this, and how would you partner to deliver it? So does the recurring revenue model make sense? How many people think this would be really valuable for their business? Okay, it is the thing that has gotten us to the place that we are. So the next thing is about sharpening performance. Now here's the thing, as owners, we think we can do it all, and we really can, but it is not the way to grow your business. What happened to us in our evolution, we had a strong purpose, we now had a fabulous business model, and here's what Lisa found. Lisa couldn't do it all anymore. She was a stressed out mess working all the time. So what I did is I kind of took my own advice. A lot of times I'm coaching executives, and what I'll say to the executive is, I'm trying to get them to delegate like I actually needed to, and I'd say, don't answer the question, but how much do you make an hour? And I said, and what that task you're doing, how much could you pay someone to do that? And they do the number in their head, and I say, so you're actually stealing from the company then. And it got people to really think about delegating. I had to think about that myself. And what happened is Susan Silver, that works with Sandy and I, is not here, but she worked, we had the old consulting firm. We went to Austin for a weekend and talked about a lifestyle change for both of us. She was in a company working 70 hours a week, 2 young kids, husband not home a lot, very stressed. I was stressed too. We talked about us working together. I listed all of the things that I do that I have no business doing. I'm terrible at them. I have a low C. It took time. It was stressful. It didn't help anybody. We looked at all of the things she could do. We made an agreement that I would pay her the same price that she was getting paid working 70 hours to work 35 hours a week for me. And that was going to free me up to be able to focus on generating revenue, facilitating, educating, and supporting our clients. And Sandy and Susan do everything other than those 4 things. I do all of the sales, all of the delivery, most of the education, and they do a lot of support too. But it freed me up to be able to do just those things. And in the 1 year after I hired Susan, it was the biggest growth year I'd ever had in the history of the company. We grew 50% in 1 year. Because by her taking those things off my plate, it gave me time to do some other things. And all the important things. So here was my philosophy. If someone else can do it better, cheaper, or faster, then you might want to hand that off to them, right? So we're looking for, with better, cheaper, faster, what are some of those filters? So I started looking at what am I not good at, what's time consuming, what's below my pay grade, and what is stressful for me. I really feel that what we need to spend money in order to make money. And it's hard to do that. It's counterintuitive, but there's a place that we got to spend money to make money. So what I'd like you to take a peek at is on the next page. This is an example of all of the things that we looked at. We looked at administrative things, we looked at professional services, and we looked at contractors. I looked at all of the things that I needed to hand off that I shouldn't be doing so I could focus on those things. I'd love for you to go through and peek at some of those. What are the things for you that you could give up? And maybe it's only 5 hours a week because you want somebody to do marketing or to do your program materials. My husband said to me one night when I was up at 12:30 and my printer was jamming, he said the same thing to me. He goes, how much are you charging those people for that session tomorrow? And I told him. And he goes, how much could you pay someone to do that? I go, $15. He goes, what in the hell are you doing? And it was true. Why am I up at 12:30 when I could have paid someone $15 an hour to have all my materials sitting there and ready for me? And now that happens. I just show up and the materials are there when I get there. So what can you give away so that you can do things better? And there's a great list here for all the administrative or professional things and the things that we did in those areas. Now, you need to spend money to make money. So again, here's a really quick calculation if you look at this. If you were going to hire an admin for 15 hours a week, because you went through that list and you found 15 hours a week that they could take off your plate so you weren't doing those things, 15 hours a week would be 60, I'm under the resource investment example. Everybody looking at that? That would be 60 hours a month. Let's just say an average administrative assistant, you pay $25 an hour. It usually ranges from 15 to 40, depending on what they're doing. It would only cost you $1,500 a month to have that person. If you paid $1,500 a month, you now have 8 extra days to sell, to market, to deliver, to educate people. Even if you took some professional services off your plate, maybe 20 hours a month, you'd have even more. That investment is $3,000 a month. And you could do your own calculation there. Yours might be very different than mine. Now, here's the gift of this. You have all this extra time. And if you have that extra time, even if you only had 2 more days of facilitation you got, because you had 8 days to market and sell. And we all know our facilitation rates are all over the place based on how long you've been a VAA and where you are. You might be $1,500 a day. I know some people that charge $20,000 a day. But if you had 2 more facilitation days, what would that leave you? If you're at $5,000, you make $10,000 more. And if you're facilitating and they're buying more profiles, if you do 50 more profiles, you got $4,500. So that would leave you with $14,500 in revenue that 1 month. Minus the $3,000 you just paid, you have $11,500 extra you made that month. You multiply that by 12, you just made another $138,000. Anybody like to do that? So the math works. So take a peek at that and see if there's anything there that you feel would be valuable for you. I really looked at all of the things that I was terrible. I was sitting on the couch 4 hours on a Sunday trying to travel, do on my schedule, or my travel, just organizing my travel took me time, program materials, just all the things that you think you could get rid of to get to someone else. Make sense? Okay. So sharpening performance. 2 other things I wanted to share with you quick that changed everything for us. I know there's a million apps out there, but Wunderlist is the most amazing list app on the market. I can't even tell you how much I love this app, and it's absolutely free. It does everything. It does everything. You can even share. So I'm at a session. I want Susan to type up flip charts. I take a picture of them. I put it in Wunderlist, and an hour later, they're like sitting in my inbox. So you can share things, lists. It's amazing. I actually use it as my sales contact list. Right now, I have 32 sales conversations going on in there, and every single note and who I need to call back and when. It's just an amazing tool. TripIt is a travel tool that transformed how easy it is for us to do travel if you do travel a lot. So next thing we're going to talk about is building client partnerships. So we were on this place where we had designed the business. I had gotten help so I wasn't stressed out. The next thing is, how do you build partnerships with your clients so that your clients are your biggest fans, that your clients are so wowed by what you're doing? I really believe we don't market. I told you we don't have a website. I've never made a cold call in my life. Here's our marketing, our client experience. The client experience is the marketing for us. We have so many referrals. It's crazy. And it's because people love working with us because of the things that we do. So that was the next thing that we really started to focus on, was the client experience. We want them to stay, grow, refer. We want raving fans. We want them to be 100% satisfaction. When you're selling profiles, you don't want to be a vendor. You want to be a partner, so you have to do so much more than just sell profiles to them. The only thing that matters is how the client feels about you. So we really focused on nurturing our clients. How could we make it easy for them? How could we make a difference for them? And how could we make sure that they looked good? So one of our biggest clients is Tractor Supply Company. We've been working with them for 20-some years. The contact that I had left, somebody new came in, then they left, and someone brand new was in. I was like, uh-oh, big alert, the client changeover. Well, I got to be close with the person that was there, and here's like an example of what we do for our clients. The executive team wanted to come in and do disc, and I said, I think you should do it, because she was new. She goes, me? Like, that's what you do. I go, no, I'm going to help you do it, because I'm going to build your credibility, and they're going to see you as that person. And she did it. We helped her design the session and all the things to do. I talked to her about the team. She did such a good job that they asked her to do it with the directors, and she just called me last week. They're doing it 150. They have 1,500 stores in the U.S. She's doing it with 150 of their regional directors. Now, I made her look good, not me, in that she will be a client forever because of what I did for her and the credibility that we built in that company. Does that make sense? So it's really making your clients look good. I think the other thing is exceptional customer service. We all know this. We all know about customer service. I have Susan and Sandy, and they're amazing. Every time I see people, oh my God, we love them. They're fabulous. You want to make sure that you're going above and beyond. You got to do things more than what you think. Like an example is I was here for the GVP meeting in September, and I called a client that was here, and she was buying 360 profiles. And I'm like, hey, Jamie, I'm going to be in town. You want me to debrief those with your executive team? She's like, are you serious? Would you do that? And I did it completely for free. And I was like, yeah. And you know what happened because I did that for free? There's 23 people that did 360 assessments, and she just asked me to coach all 23 of them. I don't think she would have done that if I didn't come and do that for free, because they wouldn't have met me. They wouldn't have really known me, the executive team. So go above and beyond for your clients. The other thing is make sure you keep in touch. It's one of the most important things. Rico, does anybody know Rico? He's doing the keynote. He said this last year. 50% of your clients leave because you don't keep in touch with them. So keeping in touch is so important. So a couple of things that we're going to show you. Again, if you go to your sheet here about building client partnerships, there's a whole list of all of the things that we've done to build those partnerships. Customer service, educational webinars, our Keep in Touch program. We do a lot of pro bono work with our clients. We give away a lot of our facilitation materials. One of the things that we're going to be giving you are these resources. They're on the website. One of the things is we did a customer satisfaction survey last year that was great. Not only we gave a free profile if they did it, and with the survey, we got so much more business. We find out how people thought about us, and they told us what they wanted education on. We're going to give you that if you're interested in doing it. It made a huge difference for us. We do this whole thing with data displays. TTI has a new one, but you can download things from IDS, and it does the wheel for you. It does a group graph, and it does the name tense, and we're going to give you a program to do that that's fabulous. You literally cut and paste it, pop it in there. It prints all those. It also prints an analysis of the team, what's above and below the line, and how they've adapted. And there's a communication card, a laminated card that we leave with all of our clients. We're going to give you that in a file if you'd like to make those. The other thing that we're giving you, and here's the biggest giveaway of this whole session, is we designed I would go and redo every time I had a new client. I'd redo, what did I do here? I'd kind of pull it in. We did a huge slide deck for leadership and team with everything you would possibly use. All of our openers, all of our slides, every exercise that we have, along with additional things in homework. And we did one big slide deck. We also did participant materials to match that. What I do is I get on a phone with a client. How long do you have? What are you trying to accomplish? How many people are in the room? We pull the slide deck up. We delete all the exercises they don't want. We move things around. And then you go to the participant handouts, and you just delete them and do the same. You push a button, and it prints everything for you. Our clients love it. We did it for team and leadership, and we're giving it to everybody that's interested in having it. Many of you have your own things, but there's a lot of great exercises and things that comes with all the worksheets, all the handouts, so we're giving that away. And the last thing is standardizing process. I think we all know if you standardize and simplify, we were at a place where we had great client relationships, we had a good business model, everybody was taking their share of it. The last thing that we did was figure out what do we need to do to be more efficient? What processes and things can we do and can we make better to be more efficient? And we really looked at how we could standardize and simplify. And if you look over on page 5, there's kind of a list of some of the things we looked at. It was all of those things, that kind of the filter became to me, what's frustrating to me? What do we keep recreating? What are the things that I take a ton of time looking for and I can't find? What's not up to standards? Like the emails that you get from clients. What does it mean when they're non-placeable? What does it mean when they get an intermittent response warning? We have templates for that. We just send them out. When we did the customer survey, this is a great thing. We asked them what they were interested in, if they wanted information. We took all of our profiles. We did a sample profile. We did a short blurb about the profile, what the features and benefits were. So now when they call and say, can you tell me a little bit about that EQ? Gone, off there. So we standardized and simplified a lot of things, and a lot of those things are in this process. And that was the last thing that we did to really be more efficient, is we got rid of those leaks and drains, all the things that were wasting our time and energy, and we moved from, I used to dread just doing proposals. Someone would say, oh, great, would you do a proposal? I'd be like, oh, God, please. We have standardized proposals that we do. We just go in, we change the name, everything in red, and we hand those out. So a lot of things to standardize and simplify, and again, we're giving some of those away to you. A standard proposal for DISC, just so you get an idea. If you don't have one, it's just a place to start. You can use it, and it's a place to start. We have a client intake form. When we go to a client and we're going to be working with them, I used to not have everything there I had to ask. Not only what do they want and what are the objectives, what are the problems with a team, how many people, who's doing the profiles, who's printing the profiles, where's the location, how long does it take to get there? It's this amazing quick intake form. And the other thing we're going to give you is an evaluation. We find if you have standardized evaluations, it's easier. So all of those things are going to be up on the website. So my question to you is, what is your $10,000 idea? I asked in the beginning, I want you to think of just a $10,000 idea. So what's one thing from all of the things we kind of very quickly went over that would be your $10,000 idea, the thing that would change your business? And is it something in your business that you can change that has to do with the model of the business, of hiring people to help you? Or is it something that's going to have to do with process? So we're having you look for whatever it is, and I hope that today you walked away with something that'll change your business and grow and develop it, if not $10,000, even more. So thank you. Okay. What was that? You've got one? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we can answer questions while we're waiting. That's a good idea.
I don't know who it is, but it's how do you approach raising rates with current clients?
How do you approach raising rates with current clients? If it's an assessment rate that we're raising, quite frankly, we haven't done that in a while, and that's like on the agenda for this year. I think it's just having them know that everything else is increased for you, and that's kind of got to come back, and if it's a good client, that's not a problem. One of the things I did once is when I first started, I read a book by Jay Niblick, The Profitable Consultant. When you're starting a business, I think it's one of the best books out there. It's a little bit old, but it was really good. One of the things he said in the book is charge what you're worth. Make sure you're charging what you're worth. And quite frankly, I don't really like to coach all that much. I much better like group facilitation. I'd gotten a coaching request, and I really didn't want to do it, and I had just read to raise your rates, like double them to add value. So I tripled what my coaching rate was, and they said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And it made me realize you need to charge what you're worth. Sometimes you charge too less and people don't find the value. But I think when you're with an existing client and they see the value, they understand it. Yeah. Yep. I will most likely hire someone to help do that. Yeah. And there's a new model that I heard from Susie that I really like because I don't like to coach. Well, most of my coaching are like 3-6 months, and honestly, it's just not my favorite thing to do, so I'm going to hire someone to do long-term things. What she had said was just have one coaching session with them. Have them come after they've done their 360 with, here's the 2 things I want to work on, and you coach them to help them, like one session. So I offered them either 1 or 3 sessions, whichever one they'd like, which is much easier to handle than doing multiple. Yeah, but most likely with something that large, I'd have someone come in to help me. Yeah, because it's not the best place for me to spend my time, but you still get the revenue from it. Yeah, good. What else? What type of products and services do you bundle, and how do you determine these rates? Again, I told you, I'm like the worst distributor on the planet because I do mostly discs, so I don't do a lot of bundling for other people to facilitate. But one of the things that we do with bundling, I used to go and sell a half-day or full-day disc program, and what I do, especially with leaderships or team, I did a lot of these last year. I go in and do disc first session, give them homework. Go in and do workplace motivators or driving forces. Second session, give them homework. And most of the homework is working with their team and having conversations. Then I go in and do EQ with them, give them homework. The next one I go in, I have my own proprietary program called Productive Conflict. I go and do that with them. And then the last session that we do, they're now ready for a 360. We go and do a 360 with them. Then we do coaching. Then we go back quarterly to reinforce things. And that's been a model that has taken me from little contracts to very large contracts. And again, I have a high social. I don't think a lot of little events, like a day thing, doesn't make a huge difference for people. You do those sessions with a group of people, and you make a huge difference in the organization, and you're not out always trying to get business. So that's how I bundle more, if that answers that question. This team has a high level of this team has a high level of trust and connection. How do you do the kind of discussion debrief with a low trust connection team? That's great. You'll see 2 different exercises in the materials that we're giving you. One is a high trust and one is a low trust. The high trust is we have each person share, here's my value, and people acknowledge them. Here's some things about my style that might be a challenge, and people ask them for what they need, and they make a contract for communicating. That you have to have high trust. There's another exercise in the material where we don't do one-on-one feedback for everybody in the group when there's not a lot of trust. Instead, we break the group up into 4 corners of the room by primary D, I, S, and C. We take a flip chart, we break it into 6 things, and as a group they share, from the D group. Here's the value that we bring. Here's what's frustrating to us. Here's what you do that frustrates us. Here's how we should be adapting. Here's what we like and don't like in communication. Here's why we need the ISs and Cs, and they all share. So I do that one when it's a lower trust environment that works really well to help understand each other, but it's a safer one. What is your number one technique to drive pure assessments? Our number one technique is we do Train the Trainer certification classes. We have them every other month. We have about 10 people that come to those classes. Once they've been certified, these are all people inside the organization, they go back and do sessions with them. We have 5 companies right now that I have trained between 12 and 20 people in the company to do DISC assessments, and they're just evangelists that go out and do these sessions. You need to support them to do that. Sometimes I'll do an in-house program. If it's a larger company, I'll go in-house and do a certification with them. But by certifying those people to deliver the sessions has been the biggest point. We have companies that just do. You really have to support them to do those. But we have companies, we have some companies that do hundreds of profiles a month. So to me, it's been the biggest one. What are some of the best ways to start selling assessments on an ongoing basis to clients? Again, to me, it really is the Train the Trainer, the certification programs. Again, you might not have everything you need to do one of those. It takes a long time and a lot of expertise. TTI does them. You can have them go to a TTI certification. There's a lot of other higher level distributors that do certification classes. I have a partner, Greg Smith from Chart Your Course. You in here, Greg? There is. His daughter's in the back of the room. We partner with him. I told you I'm terrible at marketing. He's a marketing master. You Google DISC certification. He comes up number 2 under Wiley. So he markets. He puts people in the class. He really doesn't like doing the 2-day class. I love doing the 2-day class. Nothing makes me happier. So we have a partnership. I have other VAAs that put people in our class as well. But TTI can do that. Or you can eventually do your own. But to me, that is just the biggest way to get people to do assessments. And again, you have to support them. We educate them constantly. I'm on the calls with them all the time. I'm helping them design sessions. I'm going over team materials with them. We do everything that we can to help support them. So that's it. So thanks. Thank you. Yeah. So all of the things that we showed you that you're getting, if you go to the website, there is a download there. And, I know many of you have your own facilitation, but this is the thing that I think will really help. No, the TTI website. So after the conference, you can go to each of the sessions, and on that website, you'll see the thing that makes, all the group data is the wheels and the group graph and the name. It does the name tense automatically for you. There's instructions with all of them. If you have a problem, please call us and we'll help you go over those. And then you'll get 2 full slide decks and all the participant materials for team and leadership. And again, steal with abandon. Change and put your stuff in, put your name on it. I don't care about any of that stuff, but it just gives you a place to start. We have a proposal for you. We have evaluations for you, customer surveys for you, all of the things to help you get started. So